Hello, potential Primalistas. It's H with a little bonus Q&A. So first of all, I just wanted to say thank you so much for checking out the Primalista baking business and the Primalista license. I really appreciate the time you've put into checking it out, the work you've done, and the time you spent just checking it out, essentially. So thank you so much. Now, I've been inundated in a good way with emails and DMs and PMs and text messages with a few questions that, even though I've covered so much in the last few days, there was just a few things that were left unanswered and I didn't want to leave you hanging. So I've put together this little bonus Q&A. I'm going to get in, if it's all right with you, as quickly as possible, get out as quickly as possible, because I appreciate I have taken up a lot of your viewing time this week. Thank you. So let's dive straight in with some frequently asked questions. I've got a list here. I've got some that I've screenshot on my phone. So the first one that I've got here is from Jess. Just wondering about living in a rental property and becoming a Primalista. Is this allowed/difficult? Thanks, Jess. Well, Jess, and anyone else who is renting, it is possible to be a Primalista and live in a rental property. So that's great news. And the majority of Primalistas are living in rented accommodation. They don't own their own home. They're renting. Didn't need to explain that anymore, did I? So the best thing to do is to approach your letting agency or your landlord, if you know them on a one-to-one basis, and just let them know that you'd like to have a small micro bakery, cottage style industry. Make a note of these words because these words are key. From home. And the key things that you want to stress to them is that it isn't going to be extra wear and tear on their property. You're not going to have customers picking up from the house, or if you do, it's going to be the odd one. You're not going to have like a parking issue with people lined up waiting for bread from you, right? So it's not going to be a noise or a traffic issue. And also in general, and I have to say in general, because I'm not an insurance broker, but in general, they won't need to take out extra insurance for you to have this small business from home. Some councils, well, most councils don't require that you get permission from your landlord to have a home-based food business. So that's another consideration as well. It might be just straightforward, just to go straight ahead and get your food business registration. So I'll leave that one up to you. Next question is from Lizzie. In terms of location, do you get sole access to a specific area with your purchase? Great question. I love the way that she's worded that as well. So when you get a Primalista license, you get the license to sell primal alternative products anywhere in the world. Woo, so exciting. And you don't have a set territory, which again is really exciting, because the Primal Alternative brand and the Primalista Sisterhood is very collaborative, and we all work together. And that sounds nice in theory. That sounds nice, Edge. But in reality, the way that we keep that in check is that everybody charges the same price. So nobody can undercut, like a new Primalista coming into your area can't undercut you, which is great. And we do have stockist territory and market territory. So a new Primalista coming into your area can't approach your stockist. They wouldn't want to anyway, and you wouldn't want to anyway, would you? No, it's gross. It's not very nice. It's stepping on other people's toes. So you can go to primalalternative.com/stockists, and you can see where we are currently stocked. Some of those stockists might be slightly out of date. So if you live nearby, you can always pop in and check, or give them a call and see if they're still stocking, or if not, would they like to restock again because you're a new producer in the area. Now, this is really important as well for you when you are growing a business that serves you. So say, for example, Geeta was my first New South Wales Primalista years ago now. And if I'd said to her, all right, Geeta, you've got a 50 kilometer radius of where you live in Kellyville that you have to service. Imagine all the IGAs and health food shops and customers and gyms and farmers markets in that area. What if she didn't want a business that big? And she frankly didn't. She was working full time and she wanted to bake on a weekend. So that wouldn't have worked. And also, territory is a very patriarchal construct. Defending our territory. And usually when you have territory, and I know this from, being a recruiter, and I used to recruit salespeople and they had territories, you spend a lot of time defending your territory and arguing about what's your patch, instead of just getting on with the job and getting out and helping people out with decent food, right? So it's a good thing. Scarcity is normal. So to have a scarcity mindset is a human function. We need to have that. We need to think, there's never going to be enough, because we always need to be preparing for the future, right? But there is, let me assure you, there is plenty of primal alternative customers out there. We are nowhere near saturation. And just the nature of the business model, people are coming into the business and moving out of the business maybe every 3 to 4 years, depending on what's going on with them. So opportunities are always coming up, which is hugely exciting. So hopefully that answers your question, Lizzie. A question from Catherine. What's the biggest challenge when being a Primalista? Now, I love this question, Catherine, and I have given this question a lot of thought, because I think it's very subjective. Like, what might be the biggest challenge to you might be different to the biggest challenge for Lizzie, right? It really depends on you, right? What is going to be your biggest challenge? So trying to think of some of the commonalities in the challenges, I would say the biggest one is self-belief and being able to trust that it can work for you as well. I think that would be the biggest one. And then I think the other biggest one would be to be able to, it's not all like, me, I'm not selling a dream. I'm not selling a get rich quick system. I'm selling you a business model, a proven business model that works, that can tick a lot of the boxes of what you're looking for. But it won't be easy. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be like this. It's not like, yeah, it's like along the way. And that's just like life, right? That's life. So I think the key thing is that to understand that you will face challenges, like you will, like with anything. And it's all you can control. You can't control what the challenge will be. All you can control is your decisions, perceptions, and actions. And a big sort of like mindset reset would be to see a big challenge as an opportunity, and seeing it as as a speed bump or a hurdle, rather than a big, this is the end and I can't do it. And I also will say on this point, because this is an interesting one, that we're always waiting. I can't tell you how many people have said things to me like, oh, well, I've been thinking about becoming a Primalista for since the beginning, I've followed you since day one. And I've ummed and ahed, and it hasn't been the right time, but now it's the right time. And I was going to come today, but the link didn't work. And it's a sign. It's a sign. And I was like, no, it's not. It's not a sign. The link's everywhere. Find the link. Come, show up. Or watch the recording. So we can be our biggest challenge. And I'm not just, everyone. We can be our biggest challenge in anything that we're looking to achieve, and to treat it all as a bit of an experiment and have a bit of fun. And to be just really aware of what's going on in our mind. We always have something to worry about, right? Whether it's a legit worry or not, right? I was worrying about something to do today with the kids. I can't even remember what it was now. It was just a relevant worry. I was going, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? And I was like, I don't know. I'll just stop thinking about it. I'm just going to stop thinking about it. I went, well, that's that then. So how much of it is a challenge and how much of it is just our perception? I was reading a post on Instagram the other day. It's like, how bad is having that like cheeky, comforting scroll on social media before bed? Like, is that actually bad? Or is it the fact that we perceive it to be bad and then like kind of chastise ourselves, you know? Or is it like having that cup of coffee that's so delicious? Is that really bad for me and really bad for my adrenals? Or is it just my perception of that that's causing a stress? Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. So we've talked about rental. Great. I've got some quick fire ones here. So best before dates. When are the best before dates, H? Well, when you become a Primalista, you will receive a nifty quick reference guide to best before dates. And it's quite a reassuring. So a normal loaf of bread has a shelf life of what? 2 to 3 days before it goes stale, right? Primal alternative loaves have a 14-day chilled shelf life, or 3 months from frozen. So this is really good. You don't need to get a refrigerated truck to take your products to the health food shop, because our products are low risk and not potentially hazardous. And they can stay at ambient temperature, which is a posh way of saying room temperature, for 2 days. So day 0 is production day and day 2 is 2 days after that, right? So you can bake today, and as long as you get it to your shop in 2 days' time, that's fine. There's certain products that I would definitely bake and take the next day, like more sort of the more moist breads, like the low carb loaf and the low carb seed loaf and the low carb hemp loaf are the two that I'd be quite keen to get in the fridge as soon as possible. So again, the pizza base is 14 days or frozen. Cookies are 14 days on the shelf. They don't need to go in the fridge. Jellies, 14 days chilled. Pastries, 3 months frozen. So that's a product that we sell frozen. And it can thaw out and refreeze, which is great. We've had it lab tested for that. Granolas, 9 months ambient. So quite a lot of Primalistas will make up big batches of the granolas, big batches of the packet mixes, which have got a 6-month ambient shelf life. And really, that's it. All I need to say on that. And then the Whole Foods range, which is where you can sell on your ingredients to your customers at a marked up price, has 12 months ambient room temperature. That is the caveat on that one is it depends on the expiry date or the best before on your ingredients. Flying through it, pets. I'm pretty sure I've covered pets, but I'll go through it again. Pets. So you can have pets and do this. Everyone's got a pet. Everyone's got several pets. The key thing is that you need to be able to keep your pet out of the production zone, aka your kitchen, whilst you're producing, and also while the environmental health officer comes round, because they are going to see your kitchen as is, and they're going to make a judgment on it as is. So if you're like, oh, I'll put the dog out when I'm baking, they'll be like, really? So yeah, so definitely set the scene as if you were baking before the environmental health officer comes. And really all you need is something like low tech, like a door that can keep your pet outside is best. If you've got an old cat like me who sleeps like for 18 hours a day on my bed, well, then you can just close the bedroom door and hope they don't wee in the drawers while you're not looking. That's a problem. Set prices. Are the prices set, or can we charge what we like? The prices are set, which is great news and goes back to what I was saying and the question about territory. The prices are set. So when you love what you do and you love your customers, it can be so tempting to want to give stuff away or give a big discount or go, oh, I'll just pop in a packet of cookies with their order because they're a good customer. And then you can look at your, balance sheet and think, well, I haven't made much profit. And that's because you've given away your profit. It's so common. I remember a Primalista that was local to me, And I buy my products from a Primalista because I don't spend much time in the kitchen now. My day is more here, which I love, right? And I spend enough time cooking for my family, so I don't have a lot of time to bake anymore. So I always order primal alternative products from my local Primalista because I love it. I'm the best customer. And I had a Primalista, gorgeous Primalista, who didn't want to charge me for the cookies because it was my recipe. And she thought she should just give them to me for free. And I said, you're actually in breach of the license agreement. I will pay you. And obviously she was relieved, because you will, when you give so much away, you do get resentful, because there needs to be a fair and equitable exchange for anything in life. And if it's all give from you and there's nothing, like monetary transfer back to you, it won't last long before you're resentful and you hate everyone and you give up your business. So it's good that the prices are set. It also means that we have non-competition. It's very collaborative. And you will sell onto a shop and they can charge whatever they like. Okay, so you can say, right, well, the recommended retail price is this, but if they want more margin in it or more markup, they can charge what they like, and that's fine. And then if they charge like $2 more than our recommended retail price, and then go, oh, they're not selling, you can say, well, maybe it's the price, and you want to look at that. Can we have an e-commerce store? Hell yes. Yes, you can. You can have an e-commerce store. So much has changed in commerce since Primal Alternative became a license in 2016. And back then, like having a shop or even having a Facebook page for your business was like mind-blowing. And so Primal Alternative was the website for all Primalistas and was the online e-commerce store for all Primalistas, because the hosting, setting up, payment gateways, it was just too overwhelming. But so much has changed since then. Like being able to, like they say that commerce has had its second renaissance in terms of e-commerce, and especially with COVID and so much business going online, it's just so much easier, like to set up an online store for practically nothing, So most Primalistas have set up an e-commerce store. There are simple packages that you can buy with amazing online tutorials in how to do it. I don't recommend any particular platforms or give any training, because that's just outside of the scope of what my technical ability is. But the Primalistas will be able to recommend to you what they're using. And these systems are always updating and improving, and have always got epic tutorials that you can directly go to webinars with the platform provider and figure out how to use it. But even just a simple Facebook page, business page, has all the functionality of a website now. So, and there's more. I think the common thing with e-commerce sites is that there's this belief that build it and they will come. And what you have to really remember is you need the traffic. So how are people going to find your website? Are they going to come and click on a blog post or a recipe? I mean, we will, as part of your license, you'll get access to a lot of Primal Alternative recipes that you can share with your audience as well, to kind of entice them into your world and your ecosystem. But yeah, just be mindful of traffic. If the thought of setting up an e-commerce store just makes you go, oh, I can't do this, then don't do it. Think about businesses in town, like the butchers, the pizza shop, the local cafe. Do they have an online shop? No, because you're local and you can go in and order directly from them. So it's not necessary. And what I also have heard from Primalistas is that they'll have this amazing online store and send the link to the store to their customers. Their customers are like, oh, that's great. Like send a text message. I'll get 3 pastries, 10 cookies, and 4 low carb seed loaves, please. Because people like that, in a world of everything e-commerce, people quite like the personal touch. And that's where Primalistas have got a really strong point of difference to, all the stuff online and all the stuff in the shops. Is that personal touch. You can't text, another paleo brand and say, drop these off to my door tomorrow, or meet me at basketball on Friday night and I'll pick up my order. You can't. So just play to your strengths. But if you want to do an e-commerce store, if it's something you've always fancied, then absolutely go for it. I, speaking from experience, have tried to make a bit of an one-stop shop with all sorts of other Primal products that I was buying in at wholesale, and then putting a markup and selling alongside things like collagen and low tox body products, and what else was I selling? Things like that. Anyway, it didn't work. It was too much hassle, storing all the stuff. Yeah. And again, stick to what you're good at, get known for doing that really well, and nail it. Okay, do we take money directly from customers? This is a real cracker of a question. The coffee's gone cold now. I have to make another one instead. Yes, so if you make a sale, when you make sales from your customers, you take the trade. So it doesn't go through Primal Alternative unless it goes on the Primal Alternative shop. So that's a good one, isn't it? Oh, collaborative agreements. Okay, 2 final questions. Collaborative agreements. So as you know, we are very, very, very so pinch me, thrilled to collaborate with Quirky Cooking, Jo Whitten. We make her pastries, the pastry and sweet potato pastry, which is nightshade free. And we also make her macadamia and currant shortbread, which is just delicious. And we also collaborate with Low Tox Life's Alex Stewart for her brownies. Now, so we collaborate with these massive influencers, and that's really how Primal Alternative has got out into the world and become a bit of a household name in the grain-free world, is through influencer collaboration. The people that we looked to when we were like, oh my goodness, I'm on this journey and where do I start? They were the people that helped us out to actually find something to put on the table that people were going to eat, how we were going to declutter our house of all those toxic cleaning products, etc., right down to what kind of mattress am I going to sleep on? It was a big job, wasn't it? So it's so great to collaborate with these 2 absolute giants, industry leaders, because a lot of people trust Jo and Alex. So when they recommend a brand, it's just incredible word of mouth for all Primalistas, which is so good. And what other business could you go into where you already have industry leaders as your influencers? It's huge. It's actually really, really cool. It's one of the biggest parts of this brand, and I should talk about it more. But so Jo and Alex and any future collaborative brands will they get compensated. They have a fair and equitable exchange for their telling people how great Primal Alternative is, in that we pay them, the Primalistas pay a royalty, which is a percentage of the product that they're selling. That's a collaborative brand product. The royalty is small, and it's factored into the costing of the product. So the customer is essentially paying for it. And then at the end of the month, you just send your royalties to Jo or Alex, and it's as simple as that. There's a separate collaborative agreement to sign, which is basically an inside agreement with Jo or Alex or future collaborative brands, but there's no additional cost to do it. So with a Primalista license, you get access to all the recipes, and it's up to you if you want to do the collaborative brand products or not. The final point, and this is a humdinger-donger, is I'm really interested in this opportunity, but I just haven't had a chance to speak to my partner. Now, as part of the research and the videos you've been watching, you might have seen a video called How to Get Hubby on Board. Now, I just used hubby. It could be any kind of partner, or just the whole, anybody you need to speak to, your bestie, your mum, whoever. And it's really important to have that conversation and to have it soon. Don't let it be one of those things that this opportunity slips away and you miss the cutoff because you just didn't make the time to have the conversation. And it can be, don't get me wrong, really daunting to present, essentially like pitch this idea. And I reckon this part of pitching it to your bestie or your mum, my mum's quite supportive, but definitely my bestie's always on the lookout to protect me, you know. She's got my back big time, so she's always going to be super, well, what, you know, thinking of the worst case scenarios, right? And the same as my husband, because they love us and they want to protect us, but you're so excited and you really don't want them to rain on your parade and just burst your bubble of all this fabulous vibe that we've had going on, you know. So you've got to do it, right? And if you can do this and have this conversation, you're like, this is probably the hardest conversation. This is going to be nothing in comparison to like going to a health food shop. Like, this is much worse, this conversation. Going to see, you know, Rachel at the health food shop will be a breeze after you've pitched this to your partner. You take my word for it. So remember my 3-step strategy. It's really simple. Make sure that it's a low stress time. You know, make sure you're fed and watered and you're not too tired. Like, don't make it just as they're heading out the door, or they just got back and they've had a bad day and tripped over the cat, and we know when to find the right time. So ideally you've fed them, they're not stressed, and it's distraction free. So, you know, you put your phone away. Can I have a chat to you, babe? It's not going to take any more than 20 minutes. And what you're going to do is focus on why it's important to you. So you're going to really focus on your heart. Take a deep breath before you start to talk, because you're talking your truth and it can get quite emotional. So if at any point you do start to feel your voice wobble or you lose your nerve, concentrate on your breath, concentrate on your heart beating, and focus on, why it's important to you. And never say you or your, like, make it's not about them. It's about you and what it can do for you in terms of what you can do, have, be an experience. Be an experience. So what is this going to do for you? How's it going to, how are you going to be? How's it going to change your lifestyle? And you've figured this out, right? If you go back to day 1 or the first session that we did, where you were determining your values, you were figuring out your golden spot, you were figuring out what you're looking for. You've already done that. You already know it. So go back to that and share that. You've shared it with us, share that with them. And then shut up and listen. Just say your piece and then shut up and listen. Don't say, what do you think? What do you think? Just shut up and listen. And see what they say. And the 3rd step is leverage outside influence. So they might be like, okay, well, this sounds all right, but you know, what is Primal Alternative? Is it a scam? These are just common things that husbands think. How much money can you make? What if you don't get any sales? All that kind of thing. So the best way to leverage outside influence without making them sit in front of one of these videos, because they ain't going to do that, is to show them either the join page, primalalternative.com/join, or the proposal. You'll have access to both of those. And if you can't find those, let me know. But that basically is like a summary of what this is, what people think about us, what we do, what sort of things we make, and how much they can earn, and what the deal is, what the offer is. And so, I really want that to help you get your point across, because it can be quite hard when you're new and it's and you haven't really, you know, I've talked about this for years now. It just rolls off my tongue. But when it's new, it's hard. So that's why I've put together that information to have something succinct to share. Just something that's just popped in my funnel with Catherine's question. What's the biggest challenge when being a Primalista? Something just popped in then that unless you have walked this journey, this is a really important one, actually. I'm glad it popped in. Unless you've walked this journey and been on your own health journey and had to give up certain foods in order to improve your health, it's going to be really hard to understand how you would get customers. That doesn't mean you have to be paleo or all the GAPS protocol to be a Primalista, it just means that if you need to understand a little bit more about our customer journey, it might be worth just popping into, you know, maybe the Quirky Cooking chat group and just have a look at some of the health issues people have got and the challenges they face and how you can be a great, meaningful service to them. All right, that wraps up it was about half an hour, wasn't it? I did all right. I am a woman of many words, but I did all right. If I missed anything, it's because I didn't get your question, or if you asked me a question and I haven't answered it, it's because I didn't get it. So you can PM me, DM me, email me, info@primalalternative.com, or you can post a question wherever you're watching this and I will reply.